Imagine yourself in Europe in the year 1347. You wake up to the sound of church bells, not for death, but for prayer. Children run laughing through the narrow streets. The smell of bread drifts from the baker's oven. Farmers bring milk and eggs into the market. Merchants shout out their prices for silk, spices, and silver. Life feels busy, safe, and ordinary. But what no one sees is that death has already arrived. It is hiding in the shadows. It has travelled silently on the same ships that carried wealth. It moves inside the crowded streets, waiting to strike. It does not announce itself with armies or banners. It does not carry a sword. It is carried instead on the back of a rat, inside the bite of a flea, inside a sickness too small for the eye to see. And once it begins, nothing will ever be the same. The first warning comes from Sicily. Ships arrive in the port of Messina, but the sailors who step off the decks are not bringing treasures. They are bringing death. Townsfolk see men staggering onto the shore, their skin pale, their eyes feverish, strange black lumps swelling on their necks and under their arms. Some collapse on the spot. Others cough blood into their hands. Within hours, the town is in chaos. People whisper it must be God's punishment. Others think it is a curse from the east. No one knows the truth, but one thing is clear. The sickness kills quickly. Families shut their doors. Streets grow silent. And still, the disease spreads from house to house, from neighbor to neighbor. From Messina, the plague spreads to Italy, then further, carried by merchants and travelers. It creeps along trade routes, slips onto carts, sails across seas. France, Spain, England. One by one, the great kingdoms of Europe fall victim to the same shadow. The very roads that once carried wealth now carry death. In your own village, you begin to hear rumors. A trader passing through warns of towns where half the people are gone. Priests talk of cities where graveyards have no more room. At first, you dismiss it as an exaggeration, but then your neighbor falls sick. It starts with fever. Then come the swellings, painful lumps, hot and black, rising under the skin. Within 3 days, he is dead. By the end of the week, his wife and children follow. Then it spreads. Another house, another family. One street after another goes silent. The air is filled with the sound of coughing, with wails of grief, with the tolling of church bells. The symptoms are like nothing people have ever seen. Buboes swell to the size of apples. Skin darkens, bruising until it looks almost black. The body burns with fever. Vomit and blood pour from the mouth. In some cases, the sickness moves to the lungs. Victims cough so violently they cannot breathe, drowning in their own blood. Some die in less than 2 days. Few survive beyond a week. Fear takes hold of every heart. People begin to believe that even looking at the sick could bring death. Families abandon each other. Mothers leave their children. Husbands leave their wives. Love and loyalty collapse under the weight of terror. In some towns, people barricade themselves inside their homes, refusing to leave. Streets grow so quiet it feels as if the world has ended. And yet, the sound of death is everywhere. Carts creak through the streets, piled high with bodies. Men shout, "Bring out your dead." Families drag the lifeless forms of their loved ones to the doors, too afraid to touch them for long. Cemeteries fill to overflowing. Priests chant prayers over mass graves where hundreds of bodies are dumped together. In some places, the ground is so full of corpses that the earth itself seems to groan. In others, whole houses are set on fire, the dead burned inside to stop the spread. The sky fills with black smoke and the stench of decay. People desperately search for answers. Some look to the heavens, convinced the planets and stars have cursed mankind. Others believe the air itself has turned poisonous. Men and women called flagellants march barefoot through villages, whipping their own backs bloody, crying out that only suffering will make God forgive humanity. But fear also breeds hatred. Rumors spread that strangers, foreigners, or minority groups are poisoning wells. Innocent people are hunted, beaten, or burned alive by angry mobs. The plague brings not only death, but cruelty, as fear drives people to turn against one another. Yet the true killer remains unseen. Tiny fleas, biting, feeding, carrying the deadly germ from person to person. No one can see them, no one can understand them, and no one can stop them. Between 1347 and 1351, the Black Death sweeps across Europe like a storm. 50 million people are gone. 1 in every 3 souls wiped away. Imagine standing in a village of 100 people, and 30 never return. Imagine walking through a city where half the houses are empty. Whole families vanish in days, their names lost forever. Fields go untended, crops rot in the ground. Ships lie abandoned in harbours, their crews dead. Cats and dogs wander through silent streets, searching for masters who will never return. Europe itself feels like a graveyard. For the survivors, the world is unrecognizable. They walk through streets lined with shuttered houses, through fields filled with unmarked graves. They hear only the wind and the cawing of crows. They wonder if the world itself is ending. Many lose their faith. How could God allow such horror? Others cling to prayer more fiercely than ever. Some become reckless, feasting and drinking as if tomorrow will never come. Society itself begins to unravel, and yet, even in the ruins, life slowly stirs again. The plague's fury fades. Survivors bury their dead, rebuild their homes and return to the fields. But nothing is the same. Entire villages are gone. Whole lineages erased. The memory of the Black Death becomes a wound carved deep into the heart of Europe. The legacy of the plague lasts for centuries. It changes medicine, as people search desperately for cures. It changes religion, shaking faith and fueling reform. It changes society, as labor shortages give survivors more power and peasants demand fairer treatment. The Black Death does not just take lives, it reshapes history itself. But above all, it leaves behind a warning. A reminder that the greatest threats to humanity are often the ones we cannot see. That a single bite from something as small as a flea can bring empires to their knees. That life is fragile, and death can come quietly, invisibly, with no warning at all. The Black Death was not just a disease, it was a storm of darkness that swallowed nations, a shadow that haunted the world, a silence that taught humanity its most painful truth, that even the strongest societies can fall, not to swords, not to armies, but to something too small for the human eye, and its echo still whispers today.